You're here because you know there's more to the story than what you've been told about perimenopause and menopause, and you're right. Welcome to the Women Aging Powerfully podcast. I'm Leah, certified nutritionist, metabolism coach, and menopause specialist, and I'm pulling back the curtain on the metabolic and hormonal changes that are actually running the show during midlife and what you can do about them. This is the conversation your doctor isn't having with you, but I am. Let's go. Hey, Tricia, I'm so excited you're here. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. And honestly, you cover a topic that I usually dive into like more of the sciencey and technical stuff, which I know emotional eating actually is based in science, but I don't really cover it. And so my audience is going to be really excited to hear you talk about this. And before we dive into all of it, I would love to hear your story. Like, how did you get started in this niche?
Yeah, a very personal story. I think way back when, was an emotional eater. Unbeknownst to me, when I first heard that term, my sister came home from school, or I don't know what she's maybe from work, and she's older than me and by 5 years. And she came home and said, "I'm an emotional eater," and this is way back when. So, it wasn't a common term at all. And when I heard it, I thought, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And we had a contentious relationship. So whatever she would have said, I probably would have thought that. But anyway, when you hear the term, it's hard to unhear it. So initially I'm like, that's dumb. I just like food. But then I started to observe my behaviors, and I started to realize I'm not really like my girlfriends. Like, we'll go out to eat, like to a sandwich shop, like a Denny's or something like that. I was from the Northeast, so it was Friendlies back there. But we would go, they'd order a burger and it would come with fries, or a sandwich and it would come with fries. They'd eat their sandwich and pick up their fries. I would eat my fries and pick up my sandwich. And I'd look at them like they were Martians. Like, I'd be like, how can you leave French fries on the table, like on your plate rather? And I want to eat them all. I just want to go rah, 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 and like Cookie Monster and eat all the fries on the table. So I started realizing I am not the same. Like, I'm not the same. And I would binge. And so I would intend to eat, some chips, and I'd eat the whole bag. Or, I'd take the lid off of the pint of Haagen-Dazs and I'd never put it back on. And so I realized that I'm not like other people necessarily, or my girlfriends, and it made me feel ashamed and different and more secretive. My binges became more hidden and late at night, where nobody knows what I'm doing. And then if I lived with other people, I would eat food and then replace it, hoping nobody would notice that I had finished something off. So a lot of really strange behaviors around food. And so eventually I realized, gosh, this is emotional. Like, I'm not eating out of nutritional need. I am seriously emotionally eating. And so I think it really helps for people to hear about this topic, because we don't think of it that way. We just think, oh, I love chocolate. Chocolate's my favorite thing. Or I can't wait to, get home from work and reward myself for a job well done. And so we don't really connect it with our emotional life. And so that's, to me, that's the connection that needs to be made if we're ever gonna be the weight we want to be at, or have sanity around food, or like start feeling one with people that we love. Because when we have this deep, dark secret, like these eating behaviors we don't want people to know, we're living a double life, and that creates separation and a feeling of loneliness and isolation. So thanks for having me on. I'm so glad we're talking about this. But that's basically it. This started personally for me. And what happened was that I got help. Like, I met somebody after all attempts I'd had at dieting, exercise programs, all kinds of different crazy things I did to try to lose weight and keep it off. I finally met somebody who showed me a path of healing that was more spiritual than anything, not religious, but just an inward journey that helped me start to look and heal things that were more emotional, more, personality driven. And that's really when I started getting help. And then I started helping others.
I want to touch on that later. I want to definitely get into the solution part, but I kind of, before we jump into that, I want to talk about the awareness and the problem first, because the way I see it is, you know, a lot of the time when I explain nutritional concepts to my audience or my clients, I like to go back to the way humans used to eat before modern day, where, we were more of a hunter-gatherer society. That's kind of how our bodies were created to live our best. And currently, we are living in a society which is so far different from that. I mean, you can literally walk out your door in most cases, in most metropolitan areas, and get a candy bar or a bag of chips or a soda or all these what I call non-food items that are highly addictive.
Yeah.
And so now we're battling accessibility as well. So, how does that play into the problem here?
Well, to me, it's sort of sideline to the problem because you can't ever, unless you live in an igloo, you know, deep in the wilderness in Alaska, you're not gonna get away from candy bars and processed foods. As evil as they are, they've been around a long time, as long as I've been alive, and even though there are, governmental changes being made right now, like inverting the food pyramid, we're not gonna get away from it, and we can't shield ourselves from temptation. It's impossible. And I don't wanna be at the mercy of what my eyes might start seeing, right? Walking in, I don't wanna avoid grocery stores because there's temptation there. That's not a powerful position to be coming from, and so for me, it's really about, and we can go down the rabbit hole of manufacturers and what they're doing to foods because they definitely are trying to trick us by putting all different kinds of, ingredients in foods that will keep us addicted, so there's no question that's all part of what's happening. It's just that I have to take responsibility for the fact that I have an addictive habit. I mean, yeah, that I have an addictive habit. I have an addiction to food. That's me personally. Not everybody takes it that far. And I do have a quiz that'll tell people whether they're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. And bottom line is, if I know this about myself, it does help to know because then I'm not gonna try to eat a handful of potato chips, I know that's gonna be a failed experiment. I'm not gonna try to have one Hershey's Kiss. Like I know from very
It's the
bitter
whole bag.
experience. Yeah, I know what's gonna happen. So having that information about myself is important, but they're not gonna stop selling Hershey's Kisses just because I ate the whole bag, right? And so that to me, I have to learn how to heal on the inside to the point where I can look at it and be like, that is not in my best interest, and I'm a fool if I think I'm going to eat one. That's more empowering than I wish they'd stop selling the stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. Avoidance is really not accessible for 99.9% of us. And so dealing with it, facing that issue or that struggle is really important for most of us. You mentioned something about you said emotional eating, and then you also mentioned food addiction. Now, are those two different things? And you mentioned a quiz too. So, how do we know? Can we be one or the other? Could we be both?
Yeah, so I've been doing this work for over 30 years, and what I've noticed is in my research and working with thousands of women is that it really is a spectrum, okay? So it's a spectrum. On the low end of the spectrum is emotional eating. Everybody does it. Food is awesome. Food does make us feel better, and to me that's what emotional eating is, eating to feel better. It feels good when you first start eating something yummy or carby or sugary or whatever.
Those
So that's
dopamine hits.
yeah, it's like yeah, and it is definitely changing our brain. Our brain chemistry changes when we eat carbs and processed foods. However, not everybody takes it to the point of it literally killing them. Like people are dying daily on account of diabetes from sugar addiction, like not being able to control how much sugar they eat. I mean, I talked to one woman one time who had 6 older siblings who all died of diabetes, and they had limbs cut off before they died. And the one closest to her said, "You're next, sis." I mean, it was incredible. So this is a terrible, terrible, progressive, fatal condition. Not everybody takes it to that point. Some people just don't fit in their jeans, and have to go up a size. And so depending on how upsetting that is to somebody, and whether they keep doing it or use that as a sign that they need to cut back or quit eating sugar, that's really where, we're all different. We're all different. I did binge eat to the point where I felt sick. And then, honestly, my TEDx talk, which now has 3 million views, I start out by talking about eating out of the garbage, where I threw out all my binge foods that I couldn't finish in one binge. I felt so disgusted by it and thought, I'm never eating this again, because it was gross to me by the time I had overeaten. Threw it away. And later, when I had more room in my stomach, I went back and retrieved the cookies, the perfectly good cookies I knew were sitting in there. Okay, so that is some shameful ass behavior that I thought I was the worst person in the world for. I reenact that in my TEDx talk. And the thing is, that's somebody who's more on the high end of the spectrum in the addiction territory. So to answer your question, on the low end is emotional eating, on the high end is food addiction.
Before we continue, I have to share something with you that's been a total game changer for me. And I think you're going to love this. So, we're all doing our best, right? Eating well, moving our bodies, prioritizing sleep. But here's what I've learned. Even with the best of intentions, nutritional gaps happen. And as we're navigating perimenopause and menopause, our bodies need more support than ever to really thrive. And that's where AG1 comes in. It's my daily foundational nutrition. Honestly, it's the one thing I recommend when someone asks me, "Hey, Leah, if I could take one supplement, what would it be?" It's this comprehensive blend of 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens. So it's really supporting your energy, your gut health, your immune system, basically everything your body needs in one simple daily scoop. And I've got something really special for you. When you sign up through my link, you'll get an incredible welcome kit. We're talking over $200 worth of product for just $79. You get a full 30-day supply of AG1, a beautiful metal canister and scoop, which I love to keep in the fridge. It's really easy to take in and out. A shaker bottle. I travel with that all the time. Plus flavor samples so you can try them all. They just came out with 2 new flavors, but just between you and me, I still love the original best. You'll also get to try AGZ. This is their evening formula that I've been using in my own routine, and I love looking at my Oura Ring data in the morning and seeing how well I slept. It's become part of my wind down ritual. I love the flavor too. Plus, you get AG omega-3 soft gels and AG vitamin D3 plus K2, 2 nutrients that most of us are deficient in. This offer is exclusively for first-time customers in our community, so if you've been curious about AG1, now is your moment. Just make sure that you use my special link in the show notes to get all of these incredible bonus gifts. Remember, your body isn't broken, it just needs the right support. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about.
And I do believe food addicts are driven by their emotions to eat, just like alcoholics are driven by their emotions to drink. So I think all food addicts are emotional eaters. Not all emotional eaters are food addicts. And the quiz is front and center on my website, healyourhunger.com. And if somebody takes that quiz, they'll get a personalized score of where they are on that spectrum. And it's important to know, because obviously where you sit on that spectrum is going to inform what steps you need to take. And the 2 things that really inform where somebody sits on that spectrum are, first, the level of control that they have. Like, can you pull back? Let's say you go on a cruise and you've prepaid, it's all you can eat. And you're like, yeah, I'm getting my money's worth out of this cruise. So you drink the wine, you eat the cheese and crackers, you have 1, maybe 2 desserts. And your jeans are tight when you get home. You've gained 5 pounds when you jump on the scale. So that's somebody who, okay, so that's a small consequence. It's not huge to have your pants be tight, right? But then if that person is like, "Okay, that's it. I am cutting out sweets and I'm gonna jog an extra 5 miles every other day," let's say, or I'm gonna jog an extra 10 miles this week. Whatever. They amend, what they're doing so that they can get those 5 pounds off and their jeans feel comfortable again. That's somebody with a lot of control. Like, if you can course correct like that, you've got some good control. And 5 pounds is not an immense consequence. So that's somebody on the low end of the spectrum. Somebody at the high end of the spectrum, like me, let's say I went on that cruise. It was like a free for all. Well, I paid for it. I might as well eat it. We always use it as an excuse. But then I get home and I'm like, oh my God, all my pre cruise efforts to lose weight so I look half decent in a bikini or bathing suit, dashed, completely dashed. I've gained this weight. I feel gross. But instead of like getting it together and getting those 5 pounds off, I slump into this, kind of depressive state where I'm so upset with myself. And plus I've opened the gates to overeating again and to sugar, especially. Like, now I don't want to stop eating desserts. Like, they were so good on the cruise. I can't kind of scale back. I can't course correct. And before you know it, 5 pounds has turned into 10 pounds or 15 pounds. And who knows when I'm going to get back on my health kick. So that's somebody with more consequences, right? It's starting to get away from me and not a lot of ability to control or course correct. So that's somebody on the higher end, the addictive end of the spectrum. And that's kind of like where we have it is, can you control it? Do you have self-control or don't you? And is it really starting to wreck your life? And the older you get, the more it does wreck your health. I mean, it makes you put on weight. It gives you metabolic, resistance. It's your doctor's telling you you're pre-diabetic, right? You have depression because you don't want to do anything fun because you feel gross in your body and you don't want to have sex. I mean, good God, there's so many different things that start to happen when we're not feeling good about our food choices and the impact it's having in our body.
It's so true. And then our confidence goes down and it's already wavering as we go through perimenopause and menopause. And we're like, I couldn't agree
Absolutely.
more. I was sitting here nodding my head the whole time. Now, I have a follow-up question to that. So, for the first person you described who had a little bit more control versus the second person who really had a hard time controlling, do these people also have a hard time in different manners of understanding, am I actually physically hungry? Or am I wanting to eat this because I had a bad day, or I'm feeling depressed, or I didn't get that job I went for, or my spouse yelled at me? The emotional eating.
Well, so the emotional eating really comes in there's three real drivers of emotional eating, okay? Just to simplify it. The first is emotions, okay? So emotions are definitely playing a part and we're eating to feel better. And when we're in the habit of eating to feel better, which one of the so the three things are emotions, stress, and habit. Okay? So the longer we've been using food to make us feel better, the more of a habit it is, and a habit we can't scale back or control. Stress plays a huge part in it, and this is because, a lot of our emotional eating is stress eating. We're just overwhelmed, we're tired, we feel like everybody's tugging at us, wanting something from us. And food is our happy place. It's our happy place. It's our place of like re energizing, quick energy. So stress plays a big part. And then emotions in general play a big part. And when it is habitual to just eat to feel better, we don't know what we're actually eating about. Right? We don't know what those emotions are because we're always basically putting a blanket on them. Okay, so emotional eating is definitely eating over emotions, but some people are like, "Well, I'm mad about anything, or I didn't have any trauma, so how can it be about my emotions?" But most people, probably including myself, have no idea how many emotions every day we're experiencing. And when food is our go-to all the time, it's just our happy place. we're not gonna know because we're just numbing out with food, and food is an amazing painkiller. Like, it kills all kinds of uncomfortable feelings. So, to think that we're just gonna lose weight and keep it off without addressing emotional eating, it's not gonna happen because there's all these emotions daily, and I'm very adept at dealing with my feelings 30 plus years later, but still, feelings aren't fun for me, like to be upset about something or to have a friend, ghost me, or having my mom be diagnosed with dementia. Like, this stuff is hard. Like, life is hard. And we have feelings with all of it. Every single thing, a dysregulated kid, right? A sales call that doesn't work out, a job change, I mean, bullying for our kids or grandkids, it doesn't matter what it is. It all comes with very uncomfortable to feel feelings. So we're not really, our culture is not set up. We have not learned to say, wow, I'm feeling sad about this. Like, and give ourselves the honor of just sitting down and dealing with it, or calling a girlfriend and saying, I feel sad. Like, we just don't operate that way. We're like on to the next thing to distract us from our feelings. And it's always going to end up in overeating. That's why nighttime eating is such a thing. Because all day long, you're moving so fast, one thing to the next. You don't really notice what's going on or what feelings you're having. But before you know it, by 10 o'clock when everybody else is in bed, you're like, ooh, I'm going to the kitchen. Like, I'm going to have me some nighttime snack. And that snack turns ugly. Like, one bowl of cereal, that would not be so bad, but one turns into 3, and then you're just hating yourself and waking up with a sugar hangover. So it gets away from us really fast, and it totally is emotionally driven. We're just not in touch with that because the food is working to keep us numbed out.
Yeah, all of that is so true. And I think also, if I could add something, I think that one piece of the puzzle that's changed for a lot of modern day society is we don't have a lot of connection with as much time, or even the type of connection is less. Maybe your spouse is really busy with work all the time and you don't have that connection. Maybe your kids are busy or out of the home and you don't have that connection. Or your parents are ill or passed away. Like, there's so many reasons that our society is less connected. And I wonder if that's part of the reason we're turning to food or alcohol or drugs more to fill that void.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is not truly food we're hungry for. It's just what works, but it's not what we're hungry for. We are absolutely hungry for connection, which is why, I mean, my programs are all done in group form because we need each other. We need each other. We need to come out of isolation and shame. We need to support each other. Women need to be connecting and talking about their feelings. And it's not like it's therapy. Like, we don't do therapy. It's actually fun, but it's at the same time, it's real, and real stuff gets, covered and addressed. And yes, the enrichment of our lives when we do connect at the heart level and we have real conversations, that's so soul filling. Like, it's true, it's the true nourishment we're reaching to food to try to get, we're not getting it from.
Trisha, do you think this is why 98% of diets fail?
Oh, wow. So there's all kinds of reasons, but yes, for sure. What happens when we're dieting is, I mean, diets, of course, take away all our fun foods, right? Like, let's take away all the things we love, take them right off the table. Nope, can't have those. And then, go get them, tiger. Like, you're going to feel so great. And you don't. You feel great for 2 weeks, the new diet syndrome. Woohoo, I'm doing it. I got my scale, I got my weights, I got, whatever. And then for a little while, fitting into smaller clothes feels really good. So we're filled up by the newness of the diet and the newness of losing weight. But boy, oh boy, if you lose weight, the excitement of that, the thrill of that, and I mean, I've been fat and I've been thin. Thin's better, and so it's thrilling when you've been in a large body. It's thrilling to lose weight, but you're not going to be happy forever, because what's going to happen is the newness will die off, right? It'll pale. And then what you have is all the feelings that were being covered up by food and fat. So that's why diets become really hard. They're fun at first and you feel all accomplished and then it's a slog. It's a total slog and you're just like dragging yourself from day to day like, "Oh my god, more baked chicken," and then you've got all these feelings and you feel uncomfortable and life starts to feel really edgy. 'Cause you don't have the food to take the edge off, and this is where we turn to shopping and we overshop or we do pot gummies or we need something to take the edge off because the edge is life. And we don't know how to deal with life on life's terms. We're usually numbed out, or at least we soften those edges with our addictive habits. And it's not just food, it's so many things, right? But if we don't learn how to deal with life and how to deal with those uncomfortable feelings, you can bet we will go back to overeating. We will absolutely blow our diet. We will say, screw it, it's not worth it. Like, I feel so effing miserable, give me my chocolate. And we'll also obsess about chocolate. I used to, when I would diet, I would obsess about the foods I wasn't, quote, allowed to eat. And I would think about it all day long. Or I'd go, like at work, I would go check out the vending machine and I'd be like, if I could eat anything, I'd eat that and that and that. Well, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. You think about what you're gonna eat or what you would eat if you could eat it, you'll eat it. Like, trust me, you'll eat it. But the reason why we think about food so much, even when we're not eating it, the obsession with food or food noise as it's now called, it comes from the fact that we're looking for food to do something for us that is emotional. I like to call it, or I like to help people understand this by calling it the PEP test. Like, take the PEP test. If you keep going to the refrigerator time and time again, like I used to just look in the fridge and just stare. Like, is there something in here that's going to do it for me?
Can we talk about something that's been driving me absolutely crazy? You're out there trying to do everything right for your health, eating well, exercising, prioritizing self-care, but then you walk into a supplement store or scroll through Amazon and it's completely overwhelming. Which brands can you actually trust? Are you getting what's on the label? And why does quality seem to cost a fortune? I've been there, standing in those supplement aisles, feeling frustrated and confused, and that's exactly why I'm so excited to share something that's been a total game changer for me and my community. I've partnered with Fullscript to create an exclusive online dispensary just for our community. This is not just another supplement store. This is access to the same professional grade supplements that practitioners like me use in our clinics. We're talking about brands that have been rigorously tested, vetted, and proven effective. Here's what makes this so special. Every single product in my dispensary has been handpicked specifically for women who are committed to aging powerfully. No more guessing. No more wondering if you're wasting your money on supplements that might not even contain what's promised on the bottle. And because you're part of this incredible community, you get an exclusive 15% discount on everything, making these premium supplements more affordable than most of what you'd find at regular retail stores. Setting up your free account takes less than 2 minutes, and your supplements ship directly to your door. It's that simple. You deserve to feel confident about what you're putting in your body. You deserve supplements that actually work and support your journey to age powerfully. Ready to take the guesswork out of your supplement routine? Head to the link in the show notes and create your free Fullscript account today. Your future self will thank you. Now let's get back to today's empowering conversation.
So what we're looking for food to do for us, I mean, we know what it does to us. This is what it does for us. PEP is an acronym, PEP. The first P stands for painkiller, which means we use food to kill our pain, right? Any kind of pain, soften the edges of life. The E stands for escape. We use food to give us relief from our own brains. We're trying to escape our minds. An emotional eater's mind is very busy, very, very busy. We overthink everything. And it's never good things. It's always, why did I do that? Why did she look at me that way? Why didn't I get an invitation? I'm going to lose my job and be a bag lady. It's like we're thinking the worst case scenario all the time. And we're overthinking all the terrible things, the awfulizing, the things that could go wrong. And it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. Plus, we're good girls, so we're doing everything right all the time, and we're a little tired of that too, like being the responsible one. And so we want to escape our own brain. Like we just want to take a break. And food does that, right? Gives us the serotonin hit, the dopamine hit. We are relaxed and feeling no pain and no time when we have our favorite foods and we're sitting in front of our favorite bingeable TV shows. And so that's the pep test. When you're going, like you're looking for something, ask yourself, am I looking for like to soften the edges? Is there some uncomfortable feelings I'm looking to numb out from? Is my brain on overdrive about something? And can I do something different instead of just eating to slow it down? And the P, so that's the painkiller, the escape. The last P is punishment. Okay, which is counterintuitive because food's a reward. We're always going to reward ourselves. But when you play it out, if you overeat and then you end up feeling sick and you don't want to hang out with your girlfriends for brunch the next day, you're just under the covers, that's not a reward. Like that's a punishment. And we do that to ourselves. And the reason is because as overeaters, we're also overfeelers and we feel bad about everything. Okay, we feel bad about everything. And so it's really important that we start to like unpack these things. Like what's going on? It's an inner journey for sure. And you can get a therapist, but it doesn't necessarily require a therapist. My experience is you need a prescription that's specific to overcoming this particular issue, which therapy can help. But my experience is you really need a step-by-step process to overcoming emotional eating because emotional eaters have a certain personality profile that needs to be addressed. It's really not about the food. In my book, Heal Your Hunger, I outline 24 personality traits, and this makes up what I call the anatomy of the emotional eater, which is a play on words. But these 24 traits have nothing to do with food, but everything to do with how we end up overeating. And so the number one trait, just to kind of illustrate this, the number one trait is people pleasing.
Mm.
Right? So I've never met an emotional eater that wasn't a people pleaser. And why are we people pleasers? Well, first of all, typically we didn't necessarily get all that we needed as kids. We're not going to throw anybody under the bus, but we just didn't get it. Like we didn't get a solid sense of ourselves, suffice it to say. And so we start looking outside ourselves for this sense of self-esteem. Will you approve of me? Will you validate me? If I do this extra, credit project, everybody's going to think I'm fabulous. Or if I bake the brownies for the soccer team, even though I'm up till midnight doing that, kudos I'll get. The atta girls, and so we think it's going to really fill us up and feel so good. Well, it rarely does, because we knock ourselves out. So we're not only exhausted from all the people pleasing we're doing, but we're also typically resentful because we're like, I did all this and all I got was a thank you, if that. And it's the perfect setup for the I deserve it binge. Like, screw them, I'll reward myself. So that's an example of how people pleasing turns into overeating so fast, even though they're not necessarily ostensibly related. But this is where we need to put the attention, not on what's the newest fad diet, what's the next food plan or fad drug. It's like we have to deal with the living problem, not the eating or the weight problem. It's a living problem. How I'm living is we need to scrap it, or at least amend it. We're doing too much. We're thinking too much. We have no time for ourselves. We're not taking proper care of ourselves. We're definitely not asking for help because we want everybody to think we're fabulous. So we're doing it all ourselves because we can do it better than everybody because we're control freaks.
Is that another trait?
Yes, it is. It's like, how could I get help with this? I can do it better than everybody. I'm not going to take the time to train anybody to do this, right? Or humble myself to say I need help because we're supposed to be all things to all people. So this is, to me, where we need to start paying attention. You can go on diets all day long or use Ozempic and lose weight. What are you going to do then? What? Like, how are you going to keep the weight off? How are you going to get happy? because losing weight will make you happy for 5 minutes. And then you're going to have to deal with everything that you ate over in the first place. So, what's your lasting strategy? Like, how are you going to get to where you're happy in your body? You're happy with yourself. You're happy with your thoughts, right? And you feel well adjusted to life. Like, that's a taller order. But to me, that's where we need to put our attention.
Oh my gosh, this is fascinating. And I know we don't have time to go through all 24 traits, but now I'm so curious. I'm going to have to, that's in the book, right? Until
Yep.
You're Hunger.
Yep. Yep.
No, I'm going to have to read the book because I'm sucked into this. This is fascinating. So we talked a lot about identifying the problem, that there is a problem. What is the solution then? I know
Yeah.
you don't
Well,
have time to tell it in detail, but where do we go?
yeah, so I certainly would start with taking that quiz and finding out where you are on the emotional eating spectrum. But a lot of the solution, in my experience, has to do with, like I said, the living stuff, like really starting to live differently, which starts with stopping being so damn busy. Like, we're just so busy and we are sidelining our health and our happiness in that constant go, 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 so slowing down is key. The community is key. You have to be in community with other emotional eaters who are supporting you and cheering you on and helping you start to like address things that are hard to address. And slowing down is hard unless somebody's telling you to do it. Frankly, the solution does require community. It also requires a step by step plan, which my book has some of, but obviously it doesn't have community and, you can't get that through the book, but the book is a great place to start, but it's really going to take some introspection. It's going to take realizing that it's not about the food. Like, that's progress right there. Just realizing, oh, it's a deeper journey, having some self-care habits, like a morning routine where you start your day instead of just like jumping up and, serving other people, filling your cup first, spend some time. Get up half an hour early, even though it might seem hard. Go to bed half an hour, earlier on the front end, and it's more doable. But have some time, some solace before the kids wake up. Do some prayer, do some meditation, do some reading of spiritual literature or journaling. Like, start trying to tap in and tune in. And another thing that's in the book is something I call 3 meal magic, which is eating 3 meals with nothing in between. We tend to snack a lot, and it's the snacky foods that really put on the pounds fast because they're salty nuts, they're Hershey's Kisses, they're chips that we don't stop eating. It's a runaway train. Whereas if we're really focused on feeding ourselves real food, we put it on a plate, we sit down to eat it. We don't eat out of bags and boxes. We don't eat on the run. We don't eat in our car. Like, just make the meal a real thing. Like, honor yourself by making and eating a real meal. Don't be so damn distracted. Put the phone away. Some simple stuff that is not rocket science. I didn't make it up, but it bears repeating and we need to hear it. I need to hear it. We need to hear it over and over. We need the reminders that when we slow down and take care of ourselves, everybody benefits. Like, everybody benefits. Nobody wants a harried, bitchy, rushed, unhappy mom. Like, nobody. So it's like our kids and grandkids deserve to have, somebody who's rested, somebody who feels good about our food choices. Somebody who has a healthy relationship with her spouse because she's up for anything, because when we're binging and we're hating our food choices, we typically don't want to have sex, so it carries over. There's nothing to me more important that we could be doing than to start putting the focus on ourselves. It's not selfish. It's really selfless because everybody we love will get a better, healthier, happier version of us when we do.
So many golden nuggets in there. I am very excited to learn more on this. And I love that there's a simplicity in your message of just slow down. In fact, it reminded me of I run a 5-day challenge for my community. And one of the days, the challenge is literally just to do, 5 to 10 seconds of deep breathing before you eat. And the responses I get are always like, oh my gosh, my food tasted better. I felt satiety sooner. I, didn't get bloated. What you're saying, Tricia, is so simple. A lot of it's actually even free. And if you have the right support, which is what you are sharing is a big part of that, right? This is
Yeah.
sounds very doable. And I'm guessing small steps will reach a large solution or a large
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it overnight for sure, and, people have to realize that, like, getting support for your eating is not shameful. Like, food is the hardest of all overeating is the hardest of all addictive habits. We tend to dog ourselves like, "Oh, it's only a cookie. This is so stupid." It's not like I'm putting a needle in my arm. No, but if it's alcohol or drugs, you don't have to do it daily in order to recover. Food you have to eat every day as you're on a healing journey, so it's trickier. So all the more reason why you're gonna need support, So more support, not less support, and we don't mind hiring a trainer when we're trying to get fit. Like, we know we'll work out more consistently, we'll finish the rep cycle, like, we'll do it all if there's somebody right there cheering us on. But when it comes to food, there's all this shame and weirdness around it. So we're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna read the book and take care of this myself, and nobody will be the wiser." Well, what's all the pride about? Like, we have an Ozempic craze because people are overeaters. People are overeaters and they hate being fat. It's like this is a problem, folks. It's a problem. We need a real solution, And so hiring somebody to help you or support you or getting in a community with people who will cheer you on. Yes, that is how you heal. Absolutely. And there's no shame in it whatsoever. It's smart. Serena Williams, she didn't try to, be the best tennis player in the world by figuring it out on her own. No, she hired the best, first her dad, of course, but then ongoing trainers and coaches who are like, this is how you get to where you want to go faster. And if you wanna stop farting around and hating what you're doing around food and weight, and you wanna get back in your cute clothes, you gotta take the fastest route, which is to get somebody who knows what they're doing and follow their advice. But make sure it's not just, the physical, right? The diet. Make sure it's that deeper journey as well.
Well, now I'm wondering if Serena's gonna show up in your groups because, she's
Yeah.
on the Ozempic wagon. So
I know, we'll see.
I
Maybe.
know. I had to throw that out there because I thought that was pretty funny.
Right.
Speaking of, if people want to find you, join your groups, see what you have to offer, you mentioned the book, but tell us a little bit more about what they can find out there for
Yeah,
you.
thank you. My website is healyourhunger.com, HEAL, healyourhunger.com. My TEDx talk is on there. My book is on there. The quiz that we talked about that's front and center on there. My podcast, which is called Confessions of a Binge Eater, is on there. So that's kind of a good place to go. I am on Instagram as well, and I put out a lot of content there. It's Tricia Nelson _ So I totally recommend that. Yeah, but thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
This was so great, Tricia. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you.
Appreciate you.
All right, that's what I've got for you today. If this resonated and you're ready to go deeper, you're going to want to be on my mailing list. That's where I share the real goods, insights on metabolic health, details about my programs and coaching opportunities, and of course, resources you won't find anywhere else. Head over to leahvachani.com and sign up. You'll get immediate access to tools you can use right now. Plus, you'll be the first to know when new exciting opportunities open up. If this episode helped you see something differently, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. We're building a community of women who refuse to accept this is just what happens as an answer. You deserve to feel good in your body, not someday, now. I'll see you next week. Before you go, a little housekeeping. I share everything on this show to educate and empower you, not to diagnose or treat anything. I'm a nutritionist and metabolism coach, not a physician, and nothing here should replace the guidance of your own healthcare team. Results vary, bodies are different, and what works for one woman may not work for another. Please talk to your doctor before making any changes to your health routine. That said, I'm so glad you're here learning and advocating for yourself. That's already a powerful step.